All right, in 2016, remember then candidate Trump, he promised to reshape the U.S. Supreme Court. He wanted to put on people that were originalists, constitutionalists, those people as judges, not people that legislate from the bench. Well, tonight, President Trump has resoundingly fulfilled yet another campaign promise. Judge Brett Kavanaugh has now officially been sworn in as the newest member of the U.S. Supreme Court, a lifetime appointment, making him now the second judge successfully sent to this bench by the president. And tonight, during his swearing-in ceremony, the president, he congratulated Judge Kavanaugh. He also apologized for the horrific nomination process that we all witnessed for almost 3 straight weeks. Take a look.
On behalf of our nation, I want to apologize to Brett and the entire Kavanaugh family for the terrible pain and suffering you have been forced to endure. Those who step forward to serve our country deserve a fair and dignified evaluation, not a campaign of political and personal destruction based on lies and deception. What happened to the Kavanaugh family violates every notion of fairness, decency, and due process. Our country, a man or a woman, must always be presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty.
Presumption of innocence. It is core to who we are. Judge Brett Kavanaugh had this to say about his historic nomination. Let's take a look at that.
Article 3 of the Constitution provides that the judicial power shall be vested in one Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is an institution of law. It is not a partisan or political institution. The justices do not sit on opposite sides of an aisle. We do not caucus in separate rooms. The Supreme Court is a team of 9, and I will always be a team player on the team of 9. I was not appointed to serve one party or one interest, but to serve one nation. America's Constitution and laws protect every person of every belief and every background. Every litigant in the Supreme Court can be assured that I will listen to their arguments with respect and an open mind.
Now, in the face of one of the most despicable, disgusting political hit jobs ever in our history, well, Judge Brett Kavanaugh just made history. Now, from the very beginning, the day that Justice Kennedy announced his retirement, right here on this program, I warned you all of this would happen. Now, tonight we begin, thanks to all of you. This is now the beginning of my 23rd consecutive year right here on the Fox News channel. And over the course of that period, we have chronicled all of this for you. It is the Democratic playbook. We get this all the time. Robert Bork, Clarence Thomas, and now they did it to Justice Kavanaugh and his 2 young girls and his wife and his family. What this is about power. The left will stop at nothing when it comes to blocking a nomination or winning an election. Elected Democrats openly even accusing Kavanaugh of gang rape and drugging teenage girls on a regular, almost weekend basis, calling him evil, comparing him to Bill Cosby, and so much more. And with zero corroborating evidence, 0 corroborating witnesses, and it was based on, nearly 4 decades old claims, and most of them had holes and inconsistencies all over the place. Now, this kind of guilt by accusation was parroted by the so-called news media in this country, including the late-night so-called comedian and comedy shows with the far-left holier-than-thou hosts like Stephen Colbert. Over the weekend, we had a writer for Colbert's late-night show actually tweeting this: "Whatever happens, I'm just glad we ruined Brett Kavanaugh's life." Just for a second, stand back. Think how ugly and despicable, disgusting that is. Well, she later apologized, and she's being sarcastic. Nothing funny. That tweet sums up pretty much what we have witnessed now for far too many elections, far too many confirmations in this country. And unfortunately, it's all they're offering you, the American people, in 29 days. The politics of personal destruction, their motivations, it's clear, it's obvious, it's transparent. They want to regain power, and they do it, try to make conservatives as evil as you possibly can. And as you can imagine, well, they're taking the Kavanaugh, they're not taking the Kavanaugh confirmation tonight very well. Gee, this is a shocker. Take a look.
This is the institutionalization of tribalism on the court.
Women who are shrieking out in agony, saying, you cannot impose this on us. You can't send us back to the 50s. But Mitch McConnell says, yes, I can.
This is a president who says he's for law and order, but not when it comes to sexual assault. That's quite clear.
I think this is, in many ways, a crushing defeat for women and women's rights.
Trump has delivered for these people on the things that they care about most. He has delivered racism for these people. He has delivered misogyny for these people. And now he's delivered the Supreme Court for these people. We're going to see if this reign that they now have control over all three branches of government, we're going to see if this reign lasts for 30 days or 2 years or a 1,000-year Reich.
Now, after Senator Susan Collins issued a historic address and bravely cast what was the deciding vote sending Judge Kavanaugh to the bench, well, recently, Senator Collins, her staff, get this, receiving rape threats, death threats, other derogatory calls. An op-ed in the New York Times entitled, "White Women, Come Get Your People," slamming Collins and any woman that thought different than they did and supported Kavanaugh, calling them, quote, gender traitors. Over at NBC News, an op-ed led with the headline, quote, Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation is the ultimate affirmation of the patriarchy, and Republican women let it happen. Next there is known anti-Semite, anti-Sharia law or Sharia law advocate Linda Sarsour. Really? She's helping organize the Women's March and actually introduced Senator Kirsten Gillibrand in New York at an anti-Kavanaugh protest, a woman that tweeted out, quote, that Senator Collins is, quote, a disgrace and her legacy will be that she was a traitor to women and marginalized communities. History will not treat her kindly. Cancel Kavanaugh, hashtag. As you can see, devoid of any new ideas to help improve our country, make us more secure, more prosperous. Look at what Democrats do. They divide Americans. This is what identity politics is. Every 2 years, every 4 years, you watch elections. What do liberals do? What does the Democratic Party do? They call Republicans and conservatives racist, sexist, misogynistic, xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic. They want dirty air and water. Republicans want to take your grandma in a wheelchair and throw them over a cliff, and they want to kill children. It's nothing new. This is their playbook. Don't take my word for it. We have been chronicling a history of slander, character assassination, character bludgeoning by the left for now, as we begin our 23rd year, for decades on this program. Take a look.
Many Republicans talk in coded racial language about takers and losers. They demonize President Obama and encourage the ugliest impulses of the paranoid fringe.
If you accept the support of Klan sympathizers before you are president, you will accept their support after you're president.
He's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
It's wrong what the leader of the Republican Party and this Congress are doing in blocking an accurate census because they don't want to count everyone that they don't think they can count on.
They are in favor of affirmative action if you can dunk the basketball or sink a three-point shot. But they're not in favor of it if you merely have the potential to be a leader in your community and bring people together. Don't tell me we've got a colorblind society.
June 7, 1998, in Texas, my father was killed. He was beaten, chained, and then dragged 3 miles to his death, all because he was black. So when Governor George W. Bush refused to support hate crimes legislation, it was like my father was killed all over again.
When you don't vote, you let another church explode. When you don't vote, you allow another cross to burn.
And then you got their plan, which is let's have dirtier air, dirtier water, less people with health insurance.
See, we don't just make this stuff up. This is what they say every 2 and 4 years. Tonight, Well, the stakes could not be any higher, because in 29 days, if we, the American people, reward this party for these despicable, disgusting tactics, we all know what's going to happen. Now, I have warned you over and over again. They don't have a plan, the Democratic Party, to make your life better, about the forgotten men and women of this country. Clearly, they are destroy Trump every minute, every second, every hour of every day. They want impeachment, open borders, get rid of ICE. They want to keep Obamacare. How's that working? And remember the tax cuts that have now created 4 million jobs, got 4 million Americans off of food stamps? They want their crumbs back. But again, don't take Hannity's word for it. Listen for yourself. They are telling you what they want to do in 29 days if we are stupid enough to give them back power. Take a look.
Sooner the better. They say, Maxine, please don't say impeachment anymore. And when they say that, I say impeachment, 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 impeachment.
In terms of the bonus that corporate America received versus the crumbs that they are giving to workers to kind of put the schmooze on is so pathetic.
They should, once and for all, work with us to improve the Affordable Care Act and renounce repeal once and for all as well.
We've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing, and we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
We should protect families that need our help, and that is not what ICE is doing today, and that's why I believe you should get rid of it, start over, reimagine it.
29 days to go until the most important midterms in our country's history. The fate of the country is resting in your hands. We ultimately have the power. So let's set the stage. First, it's so important to remember the party that controls the presidency has gained seats in the House of Representatives only 3 times in the last 100 years. Last time was in 2002 after 9/11. The stakes have never been this high. So will you, the American people, reward these despicable, disgusting political tactics from a party that has no plan to make your life better? Or will you ask yourself, this simple question: is America better off than we were 2 years ago? Is the country better off? Is America stronger? Is America safer? Is the economy doing better? Is the president keeping promises that he made to you, the American people? Look at your screen. Now, the answer to those questions, you'll never see this on any other show. Well, look at the answers right there. Overwhelming success. The unemployment rate in this country dropped to its lowest level in nearly 50 years. 1969, the Mets won the World Series. It's now at 3.7%. Hispanic unemployment in America, all-time low. We're seeing historic unemployment lows for African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, women in the workforce, youth unemployment. We have record low unemployment now in 14 states out of our 50 states. Manufacturing confidence at an all-time high. By the way, 400,000 new manufacturing jobs brought back to America, jobs Obama said were never coming back. Consumer confidence, all-time high. 4 million fewer people tonight on food stamps than 2 years ago. 8 million people out of poverty. That's happened in 2 years. $3+ trillion spent on securing our borders and building the wall. That's underway. The president kept his promise on NAFTA. He pulled us out of the catastrophic Iranian deal. And don't forget about the historic progress that's going on now. We haven't seen a missile from Little Rocket Man since December of last year. It was like a missile a day being fired by Little Rocket Man. President now making progress. We might be able to have denuclearization of the entire peninsula, in the Korean Peninsula. We have new pipelines that have been opened up. That's American jobs. That's American energy sector now booming in this country. ANWR is now open. Coal miners' jobs have been saved in West Virginia. 2 originalists on the U.S. Supreme Court confirmed. We now have promises made, promises kept. 2 years, President Trump has kept his promise. And again, his agenda is reshaping the country for the better. But tonight, that agenda, 29 days from now, is in jeopardy. Our booming economy in jeopardy. Look closely. If you live in one of those House districts that you see in yellow on your screen, look closely, because those districts are the ones that will decide whether or not Nancy Pelosi will become the next Speaker of the House. Because Pelosi, well, she's already measuring the drapes and planning on what? Endless investigation after investigation, even into the newly appointed Supreme Court Justice, Justice Kavanaugh, sore loser, on top of all the other investigations the House is planning to go after President Trump. 2 years nonstop. They're on a quest. They've been telegraphing it. They want to impeach this president. And all they want is a majority from you to fulfill their seedy dreams. And meanwhile, if you live in one of these states, you're going to decide the future of the United States Senate. By the way, look how close the vote was this weekend. You live in North Dakota, Senator Heidi Heitkamp, well, she gave in to the Democratic mob. She voted against Judge Kavanaugh. And so, too, did Joe Donnelly in Indiana. And so, too, did Bill Nelson in Florida. And so, too, did all of these Democrats, with the exception of one, Joe Manchin of West Virginia. There are no more moderates left in the Democratic Party. There's no diversity of opinion anymore. The Democratic Party has evolved into a party of the radical far left, and they're not thinking about how to help the American people with jobs and security. It's a party that has proven in the last 3 weeks that they have a disdain even for our U.S. Constitution, which should be nonpartisan, which we all love, and basic principles which should unite us, not divide us. Due process, the presumption of innocence. They've now become the party of smears, lies, slander, besmirchment, and bludgeoning. The party of identity politics. Now, in 29 days, every American in every corner of this great country, you've got to rise up and send a message. Democrats, their brand of ruthless politics, you cannot reward people for what they do every 2 and 4 years, what they've done the last 3 weeks. If you don't get to the polls and vote, core principles that we all hold dearly are at stake. This is the most important midterm election in our lifetime.